Hello, my name is Free Happy Dolphin and welcome to advanced part of the 3-part company of Heroes free tips video series. It's advanced in the sense that every tip searches for any small improvements and seeks to refine your gameplay. If you're looking for more general tips, don't forget to check out the other parts of the series from the end screen. And now, let's jump to the tips. The first step is to plan your early game. It might seem obvious, but it's good to know what battle groups you're going to play and what builds to use. But what's also important and can win you games immediately is planning how you're going to capture the map. For example, sometimes it's better to capture the cutoff and bow fuels right after it, or maybe you want to send your fast light vehicle unit to counter a common strategy used by the opposing faction. It might seem not important and small detail, but these small things add up and they can snowball the game. Second tip, use efficient handling. While it's kind of self-explanatory why it's important, this becomes even more crucial in company of Heroes 3 because to the game's heavy emphasis on micro. This is something most players only start to think about once they're quite experienced, but I would argue that the best is to get some basics down as early as possible. At least I wish I had learned this earlier myself, since so much of this is based on muscle memory and habits that are hard to change. That being said, now I think I put enough thought into it to give you few principles for more efficient handling. The first principle is tactical maps usage. Now, while there's some room for personal preference between using it all the time or only when necessary, not using it at all will definitely limit your potential. The general rule I go by is this: use panning if target is within or just outside your field of view, and for anything else, use the tactical map. I'll mention a few exceptions later, but the tactical map isn't just good because it lets you issue commands faster. It also helps you to see the bigger picture. You might notice idle units, spot opportunities for strategic plays, or catch an ongoing attack that you otherwise missed. At one point I was so not used to the tactical map, but actually I set up a drill using an easy bot against me. I should open the tactical map every few seconds after hearing a timed signal, just to build that habit up. But of course you don't have to open the map mindlessly to play well. Instead, actually listen for audio cues and respond to them with a little trick. There is actually a shortcut to instantly jump to the last audio cue. So whatever when I hear grenade warning, I don't need to search for that unit on the map. It's faster to hit a hotkey and jump straight to the action. I personally set this hotkey on the middle mouse button, so it's always under my finger. And one last trick before we move to the panning secret. When I was first trying to use the tactical map, one thing that slowed me down building that habit was seeing a clumped up units in the base, which forced me to do additional clicks to select what I want, so it did not felt faster and intuitive. To fix this, I recommend assigning a hotkey straight to your headquarters. With one click, you are going to be instantly switching between the base, issuing commands on the tactical map after selecting the specific unit on the field, and of course, I think you'll find many more use cases for this hotkey. The third tip will reinforce the previous one. This is super important in all RTS games, and this is making your panning speed the fastest, though it's not where the main trick comes from. This might seem unnatural and of course not applicable to many RTS games, but the main trick here is to use WASD for panning instead of a mouse because of a couple very important reasons. First of all, I don't know if that's a bug or intentional, but using keyboard for panning on max speed is way faster when using mouse on max speed. And the difference is really clear to the measure that after being used to that high speed, I almost would want to use the map for something just outside of the field view if not having that high speed of the keyboard panning. And if you're not certain, I can assure you, it's easy to get used to that speed you can make incremental changes every like 10 matches or so and adapt, but this will definitely save a crucial split seconds of reaction time. The second reason, your mouse will be able to do just the most significant part of the game, which is micro. I just can't imagine now, in between of commanding units in the heated battle, doing quite a few movements with mouse to the far edge of the screen, like I would not have any more important stuff to do anyway. That being said, I need to point out, like in a previous episode of the series, that I still use hotkeys extensively. I worked out grid keys around the VASD setup, and as I mentioned before, I use a few additional ones, so it's really possible to fit everything around it if you want to use it. The main challenge here is, of course, again, everything is the matter of habit, so figuring out if setup is worth for you and to set it up in the first place can require some time and practice. The fourth tip is removing debuffs, and these are not the ones you might think about. For these, you might need to ask yourself if you feel quite a bit tired, or maybe you are on a losing streak and feel tilted. It seems like not important, but I recall many times I thought I would just push through whatever was not letting me win, and it possibly never worked out, just getting from, for example, 4 losses in a row to like 10. Losing battles you would otherwise win, dropping elo, and just forcing things is not worth it. It takes all fun out of a game, so even it's like the only few hours you have planned for gaming at the weekend, you might be just better off turning on some guide or stream of Company of Heroes 3 than only bringing sort of hard work experience and failure to the thing that must be fun. We just talked about working less and having more fun, so you might say I'm standing against my own word, but I promise this will bring you more fun. And it's cycling through all factions. You might have your one main faction, and that's okay, but I recommend to do what I have been doing as well, and it's to play each faction in a day at least once. And if you still won't find a lot of fun playing anything different than your main faction, this will bring more exact experience about other factions, which will improve your favorite faction's gameplay, and as a result, bring you more fun. Not only you will know your opponent better, but also you can do some small experiments. For example, you have no idea how to beat some strategy with your main faction. Well, maybe answer is already in the meta. Just pick up that opposing faction you cannot beat, choose that strategy, and see how your main faction deals with that. So more experience will definitely improve your gameplay. In whatever form surprise comes, maybe crazy mind placements, always changing MG's positions, or using some build that even is a bit weaker than others but never seen before, all of that will give you slight edge over your opponent, since he will need to adapt, get out of his automatic strategies, and as a result increase chance of his mistakes. While some metas don't change, it does not limit your creativity to find better plays and put those in your arsenal, making you a better player, so always be eager to try something new. And last but not least, while watching pro replays might be extra work, for example searching for them, downloading, and maybe not always seeing what you expected, watching your own replays sometimes can be much more useful. You can always go to YouTube and find some picked out of the many and explained pro battles, but no one will take your replay and fix your leaks in the game. So I recommend doing that, and of course I would like to do it more myself. Under stress, everyone does mistakes in the battle and misses those, so if you're not actually pointing out those yourself after the battle, and maybe of course with no fog of war seeing unused opportunities, you won't improve as quickly, but instead keep doing the same mistakes again. So watch your replays, even if that means at the highest speed. So these were all 7 advanced tips of Company of Heroes 3. I hope you find at least few of them useful. If you did, I would appreciate if you clicked the like button, check out the other parts, and thank you for watching. This was Free Happy Dolphin, and see you soon.